Welcome back to the Physio Bros. Today we're going to be talking about the ITB and the best ways to rehab it.
This is an extremely common injury for people or runners who experience outside or lateral knee pain. So let's rip in.
So what is the ITB? Now, the ITB stands for the iliotibial band, and it's not actually a muscle. It's actually a thick band of connective tissue and fascia. The ITB starts at your hip and it goes down the outside or the lateral side of your thigh and connects below your knee into a place called the Gerdy's tubercle at your tibia. Some of the strands also then attach to the outside of your kneecap and prevent excessive medial movement of your kneecap as well. So this basically means it helps prevent your kneecap from moving inwards and things like dislocations. Now, along the course of your ITB, there's a lot of muscles from your thigh, hip and bottom that blend with the fibers of the ITB, and they're essential in what we're about to talk about.
So if the ITB isn't a muscle, then what is it? So it's basically collagen fibers organized into a vertical fashion, as well as there's some elastin fibers which allow for better force absorption in weight-bearing activities such as your running and walking. Now, the more force going through your legs will increase the work demand in structures like the ITB. Now, the function of the ITB is that it acts as a spring for your legs in these types of activities. And like a muscle, an ITB is really essential in load management. However, unlike a muscle, it doesn't respond to things like stretching at all.
So why is this important? Well, obviously, if the ITB isn't a muscle, we wouldn't expect it to function like one. Now, muscles typically have a shortening and lengthening phase in their contraction, whereas the ITB works more like an elastic, where as you put tension on it, it's going to work hard, and as you let go, it's going to spring you back. And that's something that we see quite often when you're walking. So as I extend my hip, I'm putting tension through the ITB, so that when I go to take a step forward, the ITB will spring back to its original form and help with progressing your hip in a forward direction to assist with your step.
So where the ITB runs to the Gerdy's tubercle on your tibia or your shin bone, it's running past the outside of your knee, which we call the lateral femoral condyle. And what happens is when you're bending and straightening your knee, the ITB can move slightly forwards and backwards. However, what we know now is there's actually quite minimal movement going on. And in the past, this is why they've called it ITB friction syndrome, because they think it's the ITB moving and rubbing and causing that irritation and inflammation. But now what we know is that it's more of an issue of compression, and the ITB is compressing some adipose or fat tissue underneath it, which has a lot of nerve fibers and is extremely sensitive, and this is what causes that irritation. So when you have ITB pain, it's going to be pain on the outer side of your knee, and it's going to be quite tender to touch as well. It's usually aggravated by activities such as running and walking, especially when there's a downhill or downstairs component. When it's really irritable, sometimes you might even see it be quite sore when you're walking or running on the flat too.
So what's our understanding of this? There are studies that have identified an impingement zone. What does that mean? It's as you're running or walking and your foot hits the ground. Typically your knee is bent at around just under 30 degrees and the weight is coming up through your leg and causing your hip muscles, like your gluteus maximus and your TFL, to be decelerating. Now, during this time, this causes compression over your ITB, and this is what can cause your pain. Often what we see is in conjunction with the pain on the outside of your knee, we are also dealing with weakness in your hips and also your thighs. And the next question we get is, can I keep running? The short answer is yes.
So when you're thinking about continuing your running, you will need to make some adjustments as you recover. So first off, you can try shorter, faster runs, or you can try interval running. So instead of going out for a 5K continuous run, you can split it off into 800 meters on, 200 meters off for 4 to 6 sets. These interval runs can be a great way of reducing the progressive tension and overload going through your ITB. What it does is it's going to allow your leg muscles to rest, which is going to reduce fatigue and allow you to run with proper technique. So another common thing that we mentioned earlier with ITB pain is that it's generally going to be aggravated when you're running downhill. And if it's really inflamed, it's going to even be sore when you're running on the flat. So if you're at this stage, we'd recommend you getting onto the treadmill. So a great way to assess if your knee pain is coming from the ITB specifically is actually can be done on the treadmill. So start off on a 0% incline, and if you have pain at that level, then increase the incline to 3 to 5%. And if you find that your symptoms go away, then this likely means that your pain is caused by the compression of the ITB. So when you're thinking about your running workout, then a great way of doing this is to set your run with the incline set between 3 to 5 degrees. This is a great way for you to be able to get the training volume you need in without aggravating your symptoms. Another way of doing this is instead of just doing a continuous run on the treadmill, we can do what we said earlier and do interval runs on the treadmill. So you can do 60 seconds on, 60 seconds off, maintaining that incline throughout. If you need a bit more information around interval runs, or you're just struggling to write them as well yourself, then check out some of our earlier stuff that we've done when we've written 5K programs. We'll pop the link up the top and in the description. Check it out, and this can be a great way of guiding you back to running.
So are there any other exercises that you can do to help treat your ITB?
You betcha, and we'll be doing them next week.
So guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, because we're going to be giving away Physio Bro merch, and you really don't want to miss out on this.
Thanks heaps for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.